Now, I feel like a lot of us try and preach the same message and the same narrative to our teenagers, and that is abstinence, abstinence, abstinence. You remember that ad? Let me chill. And to be entirely honest, it doesn't work because we are at a wholly new different age. So now it's not a conversation of chill or abstain until marriage because you know that's not practical. Now it's a message of protection, right? How do you protect yourself? Contraceptive plans. Give them all the options that you can. And especially if they're teenagers, just prescribe the most common one, which is the use of condoms, both female and male. It doesn't have to always be the man using it. You as a woman, you can protect yourself. You as a young teenager can protect yourself by wearing a female condom. These things are supposed to be drilled like surgeons drilling information in their children, right? But God forbid your child just goes, I like it the way I like it because nataka kulipiwa ratio. So they end up getting pregnant. Here we are, you're pregnant. Your child is pregnant. Guess what? You're pregnant too. Immediately your teenager tells you, Mom, I am pregnant. Guess what? We are all pregnant in this house. It is what it is.
Imagine being a grandmother in your 30s.
It is what it is. We are all pregnant.
Sure. Okay, though, you know, the way I had my son when I was so young.
Yeah.
So I usually figure, you know, when he's in his teenage years or those rebellious years, I'm in my like 30s, early 40s. So it's just a lot.
It really is.
Scary.
It really is. He comes and tells you, Mom, by the
I got
way,
this girl
I got this girl pregnant. Where are you going to start? What you going to do?
You're going to be a grandma.
You're going to be a grandma. And now your mother, who is barely in her 60s, is now a great grandmother. And the spell continues on. So, as we said, if your child is pregnant, everybody in this house pregnant.
Jesus Christ.
But it does become a very difficult conversation to have with your kid because obviously they are freaked out. Depending on the relationship you have with your child, they're probably freaked out. And that is the first thing that they do. They will withhold it. They will not tell you for a long time. And then now it's too late to have option B or option A becomes option B. You're screwed. Now you're going to have this baby. So your child comes and tells you, Mom, this is Liam. Mama, I got this girl pregnant. And the first thing that happens in your mind, Turi has just told us, she is in complete shock. She's shook beyond words.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do? You're shocked.
I mean, my bad girl era.
Hey.
Okay, this is the time I'm now free. Okay,
Busting it down.
I am finally free. I have raised all of you. You are budding adults. You know, this is my time. And now you want to jail me.
Yes.
With another child.
So you're angry as well.
Gosh.
You're now angry. It goes, you're shocked, then you're angry.
And then you start guilting me and saying, you're not doing grandmother duties.
There we go. Now you are feeling jaded a little bit as well. So the first things that happen to you as an adult when your child comes and tells you, when you're a teenager, technically they're a child, they come and tell you that they're pregnant or they have gotten someone pregnant, is all of this. It's a myriad of emotions that goes through you, right? But you have to react at some point. So guess what? Your child is also going through a few of their own emotions. They are scared. Are they sure they want to keep this child or not? Probably not. They're at that space where they're like, am I keeping this child? Am I not keeping this child? So what do you feel when a young Turife, not, you know, a younger Turife is now pregnant. You're probably 16. You've gotten yourself pregnant. What's going through your mind as a young Turi?
Listen, this sounds very relatable to me because I got pregnant at 21. And that's pretty much a baby. I was a child,
You still
you
are
know.
a child, yeah.
I'm still a child. So I remember at the time, surprisingly, I didn't panic. I was like, oh, okay, this is it. And then I stayed silent. I was silent the whole time, you know, up until I was like 5 months pregnant. 5 months is what I'm telling the person responsible, oh, by the way, you're going to be a daddy.
Oh, my God.
So that's who I started with, because at some point you're going to have to address this issue, okay? Your jeans is no longer closing, okay? You can no longer hide. You've been able to hide your pregnancy for 5 months. You're now at that point where you can no longer hide anything.
Wow.
So I told the father of the child, listen, my friend, you're gonna be a daddy, okay? Who's a daddy? You
Use
are.
the daddy.
And he was like, oh, this is what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay. And I was like, listen, you need to react accordingly, okay? Man up. So that was very mean on my part,
It really
because I
is.
just dumped this information
And then you're like,
on this
you better
person
get
and
over
told
it
him,
fast.
be responsible.
Yes.
You think I'll now tell my parents now?
No.
No. I moved in with the father of the child. Went silent, and then like a week to giving birth, I texted my mom like,
Texted.
yeah, who's gonna be a grandma?
You is.
You is. You're a grandma. You're a
granddad.
Everybody's
Everybody's a grandparent.
So I hit them with the news. So now I imagine them going through the motions at the time. You
Yeah.
know, they're scared.
They're
angry.
angry, they're
They don't know what to
confused.
do. Their girl was working remotely, in quotes,
Yeah.
working remotely. So I do understand what they were feeling at that point, but
Disappointment as
exactly.
well.
But I was very quick to make sure that I was standing on my own 2 feet, you know, that I was not going to be a burden on anyone, because that's usually the feeling you have to deal with immediately. You know, I don't want to dump all my problems on somebody. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with it on my own. I'm going to figure things out, and then the day I'll need help, maybe I'll ask for help.
But don't forget, you're technically an adult. Now imagine a teenager. You are not on your feet. You cannot be on your feet because, again, you're in school. What do you know about feet? Eh? What do you know about standing on them? What do you know? All you know is how to bounce and up and down like and get yourself pregnant. See, now you're pregnant. What you gonna do? Anyway, so fast forward to this teenage child has now told you, Mom, you're gonna be a grandma, and this is how it's going. And
They didn't
I
even
have
give you an
decided-
option.
No,
You know?
no. What do you mean give you an
They
option?
didn't ask Mom, what do we do?
No,
They've decided.
They've decided. Yeah.
I was horrible.
Hopefully, they probably aren't decided, and now you're trying to help them through it, because again, as parents, it is your responsibility to help them through it. And I know the best and easiest option is just like alternative B, like you're a teenager, you don't need to do this, you're
You
too
have
young,
your whole life
yada,
ahead
yada,
of
yada. You all of those things are running through your mind, but at the end of the day, it is still their decision, young as they may be. So let's get into the part where you've decided, you and your child have both agreed the best way forward is for you to keep this child. Now, how do you proceed? The first most important thing, and I've seen this with a lot of teenagers, because you stay so long without having told your parents, so all these things, all the good stuff, the kinafolic acids, all these antenatal medications that you're given, all these antenatal meetings that you have, Lamaze classes, all of these things that are facilitated to you once someone knows you're pregnant, especially if you're a teenager, it's a very specific antenatal doctor. It's not just the regular OBGYN, and it has to be a doctor who specializes in children, well, in teenagers, because your body is still young. You're still growing. You're still going through adolescence. I'm sorry to tell you. Therefore, you need a specialized doctor. So, setting up appointments for your child. If they've told you like 7 months in, well, I mean, there's very little you can do, but still you need to set up appointments with the doctors so that they can check up on the child, officially have scans, figure out what the best form of conception is. All of these things are important. And I know it's kind of crazy for you to be going through these things with your child, especially if they're a teenager, because the whole time you're thinking, wow,
What's this?
wow,
Why?
but you're asking God and Satan the same question. Why me? You know, it's just a combination of just, you're still in your delulu area. So it's okay for you to be delulu. However, it is very important for you to get involved with your child's pregnancy care, especially if they're young and they really don't know what they're doing. You really do need to hold their hand. What are some of the other things that you could advise your teenage child to do in the event that they do get pregnant?
You know, at the end of the day, this is still a child you're dealing with. So, you know, teenagers are very picky about their food, about what they're eating, what they're consuming, what they're using. So now, if they're having sex, why would I assume that they're not also having drugs? So now you have to rein all of that in, because I'm not going to be babysitting a child who's half because you wanted to do, you know, drugs, you wanted to take alcohol. You don't know the effects of alcohol on a child's brain, you know. You're used to consuming chips na soda kila siku. That's not a very good meal for a growing child and a growing body, and a body that is supporting another human being. So now you have to be in charge of what these people are consuming. What is going into your mouth and out of your mouth, I have to be in charge. Now you're taking me back to when I was raising you when you were 4 years old. So now I have to control, are you eating? Did you eat lunch? Did you eat breakfast? Did you eat this? Did you do all of this? You have to make sure it's a balanced diet, because you don't want them to be so malnourished. We have talked about the things that pregnancy does to your body. You know, your hairline had you hook up because your body is taking everything it can to create life, regardless, not considering you
How
as a
old you
person.
are,
You know,
yeah.
we've seen people lose their teeth because all that calcium in your body is going
Gone.
somewhere else. So now, are they taking their supplements? Are they drinking water? Something as simple as, did you drink water today? You have to be on top of all of it. It's basically raising another child.
It is.
And then you now have to start smelling. Is there marijuana in this room? Yeah? Are you smoking alcohol? Are you smoking alcohol?
Smoking alcohol. Are you vaping?
It's a lot, you know.
Because vaping has become such an issue, especially with young teenagers. Another very important one is making sure that they are experiencing the right feelings. Yes, you have nausea, but is it overwhelming to the point where it's a problem? Yes, you have a little bit of backache or stomach cramping, but is it to the point where your legs are now cramping and you can't move? Yes, you know, there's a bit of spotting here and there, but is it like actual bleeding? Are you about to get a miscarriage? So monitoring all of these things is also very important, because your child doesn't know. What do they know? What do they know? A little bit from Google? What do they know? You know? So monitoring them and making sure that they actually, every time they're in pain or they're going through something that feels to them like it's a problem or it's too painful, make sure they've gone to the hospital, all of these things.
And also managing stress, because yes, we are all disappointed, but what's done is done.
It
Okay,
is. It really
this
is.
child is pregnant, another child is coming, so it would be so redundant for you to be every day, you know, castigating this child. Every day you wake up, you're saying, oh, you should be in school, oh, why are you doing this, you're such a disappointment.
Should have closed your legs.
Exactly. That's mean, but it happens. You know, you're always mouthing off at this child. You know, they feel bad.
They
Trust
do.
me.
Yeah.
They feel horrible about their decisions, and they may not show it. And it's a defense mechanism. You know, you want to act like you don't care, but you know very well it's really hurtful. You're very disappointed in yourself. You're disappointed that you disappointed your parents, your villagers, people who did a harambe to send you off to university or to high school. You know, there are so many people looking at you, judging you. So you as a parent, don't be one of those people. Yes, you have your feelings and you're entitled to them, but don't be the first person that's always bashing this young girl or your son and telling them, umekuwa Father Abraham, kila siku ni mimba hapa, mimba pale. Please, resist. Resist the urge to be the source of stress in your child's life.
And as we're speaking about stress, there are things like antenatal anxiety and antenatal depression. We've seen this happening a lot to even adults, and therefore, what is the assumption that your child, who is now a teenager, has to go to school with a full bele, doing exams with bele, with all these kids being mean to them and bullying them already. Like, there's already a lot going on, so the chances of them getting anxious or getting anxiety or struggling with anxiety and depression is significantly high. So trying to make sure that you are keen on what's going on with them, trying to talk to them as much as you can, trying to see a counselor every so often if you can, trying to speak to other people who are going through the same thing. I wish there's like a support group for teenage parents. If there is one, let them join it. Let them talk amongst themselves so they can be able to understand that they're not alone. That is very, very important. But also just monitoring what is happening with them can really help in the way of reducing stress, therefore leading to depression or anxiety.
True.
And again, there is another important one, which is monitoring the baby's movements. You know, sometimes kicks, I don't even know what that means?
It feels like a flutter in your tummy.
Okay.
Or sometimes it's very drastic, it's very dramatic. They be doing acrobatics in there. So you just see a section of your body moving. So just tell them to expect these things. Tell them to expect a knee or a foot here and there occasionally. Tell them to expect heartburn, you know. Be the person who's holding this child's hand so that it's not a very scary experience. They are constantly overwhelmed and scared, and they don't know what is. They think they are dying. Like, you're not dying. It's normal. It's very normal to vomit water. So just tell them the things to expect. Walk the journey with them. If the baby is kicking, well and good. If the baby has not kicked in a hot minute, that's concerning. So we need to get, ask them, when was the last time you felt movement, Just these things, just to make sure that everything is okay.
Yeah, and also, most importantly, do things with them as well. If you're telling them to stop drinking and smoking, and you're over there,
Yeah.
you too need to be part of the mix. If you're telling them that they need to be healthy and exercise, and all you do is just not exercise and sitting, you should take a walk with them. If you're telling them to do things that they enjoy, that make them feel relaxed, and so on and so forth, make sure you're also seeing these things, because technically you're still their role model. You still need to coin the journey and show them the structure of how it's going to go in order for them to reflect and to replicate what you are doing. I think that about sums up all these teenage problems, but it happens. It really does happen more often than not. I mean, there are a lot of children who are pregnant, and we've seen this especially during exam periods when you hear the numbers and you're like, oh, that is a staggering, eye-watering number. So it doesn't make a difference if you're angry at them. They're not the only one. They're teenagers. They make mistakes. All you need to do is encourage them and help them in this journey. Parting shot with this regard?
Just be there for your child. They are going through the motions. They are feeling horrible about it. Just make sure they have somebody to talk to.
Absolutely.